Right-hander Doug Konieczny, who the Reds saw a couple of years ago, 25 years old, from Sterling Heights, Michigan. He was not with the big ball club last year, having spent the entire season down with their AAA club at Memphis. As Joe pointed out, 6-10 with a 6.11 earned run average. And the very fact that Konieczny is here and in uniform tonight is, I guess, a great surprise to many people with his Houston club, because he was not given much of a chance of making the team on the strength of the season he had at Memphis last year, but pitched well and consistently well in spring training, and right now is getting a start tonight on somewhat of a trial basis to see how effective or ineffective he might be, whatever the case might be. The Reds, of course, not hitting the ball at all well in the 4 games, of which the Reds won 2 against the San Diego Padres. Sparky Anderson hoping that the offense will come to life in the beginning of this 6-game road trip that will also see us play 3 in San Diego beginning Friday through Sunday before returning home a week from tonight to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Konieczny has concluded his warm-ups, and Pete Rose, as usual, will lead things off for the Cincinnati Reds. Houston playing pretty good baseball against Atlanta. They knocked them off 2 out of 3 times, and, well, this is a Houston club that is going to be showing a somewhat different look this season, but we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. Rose with 2 hits and 14 times up thus far. He had a 3-run double in the 9th inning yesterday off left-hander Dave Tomlin. And Konieczny ready to go to work now as he sends a pitch in, and Rose takes it just high for a ball, and this game is underway. It'll be Rose, Griffey, and Morgan in the top of the first inning here. The outfield shading Pete a bit round toward left as a 1-0 comes to the plate, and this one is fouled off to the left and out of play.
Marty, we faced Konieczny, as you know, this spring. He worked 3 innings against us, gave us 1 hit, walked a couple, struck out a couple.
Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike on the waiting Pete Rose, who, of course, bats left-handed against a right-handed Houston starter. The pitch swung on, this one foul of the screen, and Konieczny with a quick advantage at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And a pretty good crowd on hand here tonight as the Reds make their first of what will be 3 trips into Houston throughout the course of the 77 season. The kick and the pitch, Rose takes the fastball high, and things even out at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ken Griffey waiting in the on-deck circle as Konieczny sights a sign from Ferguson. The 2-2 delivery swung on, lopped it down the left field line, and that's curving out of play. Mentioned the fact this kid was with the Astros 2 years ago. He was with them the entire season, appeared in 32 games, started 29, won 6 and lost 13 with a 4.47 ERA. Holding count on the leadoff batter, Pete Rose, at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The pitch on the way to the plate. Rose takes it inside, and the count goes full. Konieczny out of St. Clair Community College and Wayne State University. Mentioned a Michigan native. 3-2 to Rose, swung on, ground ball to first. Bob Watson has it. He'll underhand to Konieczny for out number 1. The Rose opens the game by grounding out Bob Watson to Doug Konieczny off a 3-2 pitch, and that'll bring up the Reds right fielder Ken Griffey as we set the Astros defensively for you. At first base is Watson. At second, rookie Julio Gonzalez. The shortstop is Roger Metzger, and at third base is Enos Cabell. The outfield has Cliff Johnson in left, Jose Cruz in center, and Leon Roberts in right. Griffey swings and misses, strike 1. The former Dodger, the former Cardinal, Joe Ferguson behind the plate. 1 down, top of the first inning. Griffey away from the plate. Kenny has gotten off to a good start with 6 hits and 16 times up. He has homered once and has driven in 3 runs. Left-handed batting Reds right fielder against a straightaway Houston outfield. An off-speed pitch has him way out in front, and Konieczny gets ahead at 0-2. Joe Morgan next up for the Cincinnati Reds here in the top of the first inning. Konieczny waiting on the mound for Griffey to stand back in to await the 2-strike pitch. Kenny leveling the bat. Now Konieczny with a wind and the pitch. That one, a broken back grounder, hit the shortstop. Metzger with a quick snap throw to Watson, and they're 2 away. Griffey, a slow, broken back ground ball that Metzger plays without any problem. The throw on to first in time to Bob Watson, and now with 2 down, here's second baseman Joe Morgan. Morgan has had 2 hits. He's been up a dozen times. One of the 2 hits, a 3-run home run. He's knocked in 4 runs total. So Doug Konieczny tries to 1-2-3 the Reds in the top of the first inning, and Morgan will try and keep him from doing it as Johnny Bench moves on deck. The pitch, Morgan takes below the knees of all. John McSherry, our plate umpire tonight. At first base, Billy Williams. At second, Bob Engel. At third base, Jerry Dale. 2 outs, bases empty. Morgan waiting. The 1-0 pitch is taken low, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Konieczny trying to beat the Reds for the first time in his brief big league career. 2 decisions, both losing ones, and now he's a pitch away from walking Morgan. All 3 he's gotten down, but too much so. 3 balls and no strikes. The pitch, check swing, and Joe's on with a walk. Well, Joe Morgan becomes the game's first base runner as he coaxes a 2-out walk from the Houston right-hander, and that extends the inning for catcher Johnny Bench. John looking for his first hit. He's been up 7 times thus far. And, of course, has had knee problems. Both knees have been bothering him at one time or another. First the left knee during much of spring training, and then the right knee started to bother him to the extent that he had to sit out the opener last Wednesday in Cincinnati against the Padres. Konieczny throws to first as Morgan scampers back into the bag. Now the stretch and the pitch to Bench, and that's inside and low. It gets away from Ferguson, but Morgan is going to hold at first base. Still a little bit undecided about exactly what to do, so he played it safe and stayed right where he was. Joe has attempted 1 steal in the San Diego series, was successful, and now before Konieczny goes back to work on Bench, Joe Ferguson goes out to the mound. Outfield around toward left and deep, and well, we got a first-hand look tonight at this ballpark without the inner fences. They took them down after last season, and I'll tell you, you really got to hit one a ton to get it out of here now. 340 down both lines, 390 in the alleys, and 406 to center field. The pitch to Bench, taken inside and high as the count goes to 2-0. So Doug Konieczny, after retiring Rose and Griffey on routine ground balls, has missed 6 straight out of the strike zone. He walked Morgan, is behind 2-0 on Bench, and Ferguson once again goes out to the mound.
But I think what Joe might be talking to Konieczny about is just Morgan. He might be too concerned with Joe over there. We know he'll steal, but I think maybe Ferguson has told him, make him stop and get the batter, get Bench out if you can.
Konieczny ready to work again. The pitch to Bench is swung on and popped up on the infield. Bob Watson at first base calling, and he squeezes it for the inning ending out. For the Reds, no runs, no hits, no Houston errors. 1 man is left on, and after a half inning of baseball in the Dome, it's a Reds nothing, and the Astros are coming to bat.
How do you explain the fact that of the 10 largest breweries in America today, Stroh's is the only one that is still family-owned and family-run? We believe it goes back to a way of thinking that has been passed down from one generation of Stroh's to the next for more than 200 years. To the Stroh family, brewing is more than just a way of making money. It's something they were brought up to become personally involved with and to take personal pride in. Because beer is a living thing that has to be looked after by someone who really cares about it. That's the way the Strohs run their brewery today. We think the real beer lover will appreciate it. The Stroh Brewery Company, Detroit, Michigan. Family brewers for more than 200 years.
On we go to the bottom of the first inning. Woodie Fryman seeking his 2nd victory of the year for the Reds tonight. He, of course, was charged with the responsibility of trying to get win number 1 under our belts in the Major League opener last Wednesday, and that he did, going 5 1/3 innings on a very cold day in Cincinnati, giving up 7 hits and 3 runs. Fryman experiencing control problems, walking 6, striking out 2, but he was around long enough to gain credit for the win, a 5-3 conquest of John McNamara's club. Here in the bottom of the first inning, it's going to be second baseman Julio Gonzalez.
A young man who performed so brilliantly in spring training that the Astros saw fit to trade their regular second baseman, Rob Andrews, to the San Francisco Giants in the Willie Crawford deal. Gonzalez, a right-handed batter, and the pitch from Fryman is a fastball too much inside. Gonzalez picked up by this Houston ball club in a trade with the Chicago Cubs for outfielder Greg Gross. That pitch is in for a strike. He's 4 for 14, all against Atlanta pitching, of course. Last year hit .281 at Wichita with 3 homers, 41 RBI, stole 27 bases. Count even to him, 1-1 as Fryman pitches, and Gonzalez swings and fouls it out of play to the right. Youngster started out in professional baseball back in 1972 after being signed by the Cubs as a free agent in June of that year. He's only 23 years old, from Caguas, Puerto Rico. Johnny Bench to the mound to talk with the farmer from Ewing, Kentucky, 36-year-old Woodie Fryman, as he bends to get the sign and comes with a 1-2 pitch to Gonzalez. That one swung on and missed. A good change by Fryman had Gonzalez completely fooled, and Woody, with an inning opening strikeout, will now go to work on third baseman Enos Cabell. I mentioned earlier the fact that Houston is going to be showing a somewhat different look at National League clubs this season, and that different look apparently is going to be a whole lot of running. Scouting report from our advanced man Ray Shore says this club will run under almost any circumstances at any time in the game, and they're going to get a chance now because Fryman has just bored Cabell with a pitch that apparently got him on the left or right elbow, Joe. He took a pretty good shot on the left elbow, and as he heads down toward first base, Houston trainer Jimmy Ewell comes out to administer to him.
Marty, I think it hit Enos, it looks like, on the bicep muscle, and must have been a pretty good shot because the doc's out putting some of that ethyl chloride on it to keep the swelling down. But Woody a little disgusted with himself in hitting Cabell, but those things will happen. And, of course, Woody does rely on control a lot. I mean, when I say that, he's always on the corners if possible, and that one got away from him. Cabell apparently okay, though.
Well, it's ironic we talk about the Houston increased speed on the bases because this guy yesterday tied a club record, Cabell did, by stealing 3 bases in the series wrap-up against the Atlanta Braves, and he's on at first base now for left-handed batting center fielder Jose Cruz. Reds infield looking for the ground ball as Cabell comes off the bag at first. Fryman looks that way and will throw that way. Cruz has been up 10 times. He's had a hit, has knocked in a run. Fryman to the plate, and Cruz takes the pitch low, a ball. Defensively for Cincinnati tonight, Dan Driessen at first, Joe Morgan at second, Dave Concepcion, our shortstop, and Pete Rose at third base. Left field belongs to George Foster, and center Cesar Geronimo, and right Ken Griffey. Johnny Bench catching. Fryman again throws to first, driving Cabell back to the bag. We're 1 out in the bottom of the first. No score from Houston. The runner goes. A pitch taken. Johnny Bench tries to throw him out and cannot do it. Cabell 4 for 5 this season as he got a heck of a jump on Woodie Fryman. And that, of course, made Johnny Bench's job all that much tougher. So Cabell with his 4th steal of the year after getting the good jump on Fryman, and the count is 2-0 on Cruz.
Marty, I think Davey got a mouthful of dirt or something. I believe that's what happened. I don't think he got cut or anything, but I think the dirt flying on Cabell's slide may have wound up in his eyes and maybe a mouthful of it. And I think he's down, it looks like he has a towel down in the Reds' dugout, so I assume that he ate some dirt.
Well, he's wiping his mouth off as he comes back out of the dugout and heads on back toward shortstop. So Cabell gets a steal, Concepcion gets a mouthful of dirt, and Woodie Fryman is behind a Cruz at 2 balls and no strikes. Bob Watson on deck, the Houston cleanup hitter. Cruz a super year last year, his best year ever in the big leagues, hitting over 300. Here's a pitch to him, and that's a check swing tapper, third base side of the mound. Fryman can't get it. Rose can, no play. Infield base hit for Jose Cruz on a ball that skidded beneath the glove of Woodie Fryman. Rose picked it up, but Cruz can run. As a result, runners at first and third with one down for Bob Watson. A check swing infield hit for Cruz, and he's on at first with Cabell standing down at third base. That'll bring up one of the most consistent hitters in the National League, and Bob Watson. Last year led this club in average, hits, doubles, runs batted in, and game-winning RBIs. There's not a whole lot he didn't do in 1976. Has not had an RBI yet this season, but has a chance now. 2 hits, 11 times up, strong right-handed batting first baseman. And Fryman delivers, and Watson takes it way inside. One and nothing on Bob Watson. Houston trying to get on the board in the first inning, have Cabell at third base and Cruz at first with one out. And that's low and inside, ball 2, 2-0. Watson out of the batter's box, steps back in as he waves the bat around. Now Fryman with a slow pause at the belt and the pitch. That's high and outside, ball 3. So Woody, one pitch out of the strike zone away from filling the bases with Astros and bringing on Joe Ferguson.
Here comes the 3-0 to the plate. Change up is in for a strike. So with a taken strike 1 and the count at 3 balls and a strike, Watson will now go to cranking should Fryman throw one in there. Outfield for Bob Watson, straight away and deep. Taking a toe hole with that bat right foot in the batter's box. And now ready to go as Fryman sights aside and comes with a 3-1 offering. Here it is. That is foul back and the count is full. Fryman defeated in December by the Montreal Baseball Writers Association as the club's player of the year. Of course, coming over to Cincinnati along with Dale Murray for Tony Perez and Will McInerney. We'll see what Cruz is going to be doing. Here comes a 3-2 pitch. He goes. It's swung on. It's line to right field for a base hit. That's going to score Cabell and send Cruz on to third as Houston takes the 1-0 lead. Watson with a wrong field single to right. And the Astros are on the board. Here now is the hero of the Astros opening victory of the season in their first game, Joe Ferguson, who opened up the bottom of the 11th inning with a long home run to left center field off Atlanta reliever Bob Johnson to give this club a 1-run win. The pitch to him, Ferguson looks at it for a strike. Joe and I had a chance to talk with Joe down in spring training, and boy, he was very, very happy about being in this city and with this ball club and a chance to play every day behind the plate. The change stays outside and high. Fryman a ball and 1 strike on Joe Ferguson. Checks in with third base coach Bob Lillis. They've got a run home. They've got Cruz at third. They've got Bob Watson at first with 1 out. The 1-1 pitch. Swung on and foul. That'll be out of play. Well back into the seats off to the right of home plate. And 1 ball and 2 strikes now on Ferguson with Cliff Johnson due up next. Fryman taking a little bit extra time. He's ready. And he's working. Chopper back over the mound. Tough play. Concepcion running throw to first in time as Cruz comes across with run number 2. High chop over the mound. Concepcion gets the out at first, but Cruz comes in making it 2-0 Houston. Watson now, the lone base runner. He's at second base for Cliff Johnson playing left field tonight.
Number 6, left fielder, Cliff Johnson.
Johnson 1 for 5.
Right-handed batting catcher, left fielder, first baseman, wherever they can find a spot for him to play. Fryman starts him off with a high change, ball one. Well, Gonzalez opened the inning by striking out, then Cabell was hit by a pitch, stole second, went to third on Cruz's infield hit, and scored on Watson's single to right field. 2 balls and no strikes. Cruz comes in to score on Ferguson's ground out to shortstop. And with Bob Watson out at second base, a count of 2-0 on Cliff Johnson with 2 down in the inning. Fryman working. Johnson swings and he misses. Clifford got involved in the pugilistic arts yesterday, doing battle with Atlanta pitcher Dick Ruthven, after apparently Cliff thought he had been thrown at, and they had a little small altercation out on the field that saw both dugouts empty, but nobody hurt. The changeup is hit to left field and hit well. Foster racing back toward the foul pole, and it's off the wall. It's a home run. It hit above the orange line in left field, came back onto the field, and that's going to be a home run for Cliff Johnson. As Woodie Fryman's changeup did not fool him one iota, and Houston leads 4-0.
Marty, that was changeup. The only thing, of course, wrong was that Johnson hit it out, but it was up. Is the big thing. Had it been down and away, why he wouldn't have handled it like that. But he had him out front. It just kind of gives an indication of what kind of strength Cliff Johnson has. I think you might point out Jerry Dale, the third base umpire, was almost dead left field to call the play. It's pretty difficult now without those fences, with this the orange line going around to see where the ball hits.
Leon Roberts swings and misses on an off-speed pitch up and in. That one a fastball high. The count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. So the Reds playing from behind early tonight as they trail 4-0 in the first inning. Roberts swings and misses at the pitch in on him. Been to the plate only 1 time. He's getting his first start tonight. 0-2 the count, or 1 ball and 2 strikes the count, as Woodie Fryman is trying to get out of a very, very rough first inning. That's a fastball head high and inside. 2-2. Fryman working quickly now with the bases empty, and he's full. 3 balls and 2 strikes, a fastball up and away. Payoff. Ball 4 down and in, a breaking ball, and Fryman continues to have troubles as he'll work the shortstop and number 8 batter Roger Metzger. Joe Morgan in from second base to talk with Woodie Fryman. Metzger beginning his 7th year as the regular Houston shortstop, set a National League record for consecutive games, 1 season, no errors by a shortstop. 59 games from June 8th through August 15th last year. And he led the National League shortstops in fielding percentage for the 2nd time in his career. Metzger takes a strike. Had a couple of hits. He's been up 8 times. Houston 4, Cincinnati nothing, as the Astros' first inning continues with Roberts at first base and 2 outs. Swung on, foul back. Fryman ahead, no balls and 2 strikes, with a pitcher on deck, Doug Konieczny. Here's Fryman's stretch and his pitch to the plate. Swung on and hit hard. Concepcion knocks it down, picks it up, throws to second, out. Davey got right in front of the line drive, short-hopped it, it fell away. But he picked it up and quickly fired on to Morgan to force Roberts out on a close play at second. In the inning, 4 runs on 3 base hits. No errors and 1 man left on, and after 1 complete, it's Houston 4 and Cincinnati nothing.
Remember how hot and sticky last summer was? Probably said, next year we're getting central air conditioning. Well, it's about time for another hot, sticky summer, unless you call Crawford Nichols Heating and Cooling at 876-1234. Right now is the time to buy the right Lennox central air conditioning for your home, and you'll be ready for those miserable hot summer days with cool, quiet, dependable Lennox comfort. You'll be surprised to see how easy and inexpensive it is to add an air conditioning unit to your present warm air heating system, be it gas, oil, or electric. Lennox is the name to buy. 80 years of quality and dependability. Remember, if you have any questions on electric heat pumps, humidifiers, or electric air cleaners, give Crawford Nichols a call at 876-1234. There's a Lennox solution for your total indoor comfort. Crawford Nichols Heating and Cooling. Call 876-1234.
8 more turns at the plate for the Cincinnati Reds, and they are behind 4-0 to Houston as we move on to the top of the second inning. It'll be George Foster, Danny Driessen, and Dave Concepcion for the Reds as Houston sends 8 batters to the plate, scores 4 times. A big blow, a 2-run home run by Cliff Johnson. So the Reds now hope to get their offense going and battle from behind here and hopefully pull out a win in the first game of the series. Only a couple of other games on the National League schedule. Both night games, Chicago at Philadelphia, Bill Bonham against Wayne Twitchell. And the Dodgers play host to the Atlanta Braves, Tommy John against LaCourte. Foster to lead things off in the second for the Reds, 2 for 13, 3 RBIs. Had a base runner in the first inning, Joe Morgan, on a 2-out walk, but bench popped out to first base to end the inning. Here's Foster, here's Konieczny, and the pitch is inside a ball. That Chicago-Philadelphia game, by the way, is scoreless in the top of the second. Dodgers and the Braves not yet underway. 2 balls, no strikes. Now the 2-0 pitch, and Foster swings and fouls this one straight back. 2-1 the count on George Foster with Danny Driessen on deck. Tomorrow night, game 2 of the series will feature Pat Zachary making his first start of the season, while the Astros will counter with their 20-game winner of 1976, James Rodney Richard. And Wednesday night, Jack Billingham will go against right-hander Joaquin Andujar. Foster takes a strike at the knees, so Konieczny comes back to even things up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Give him a lot of room in right center and also on the right field foul line. He bounces to shortstop. Metzger dialing Watson 1 out, and we'll pause for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network.
For the very best in early morning radio, it's right here on WMNI-FM, Columbus, Ohio, Monday through Friday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Hi, I'm Steve Cantrell, inviting you to join me and the Quad Father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Danny Driessen now with 1 out in the Reds' second inning as the pitch gets away from Ferguson. It's low for a ball. Danny looking for his first hit. He's been up 15 times. Hit some balls hard, but still has nothing to show for his efforts. Now the 1-0 to him, and that one is taken high. Ball 2, 2-0. Houston leading 4-0 as the Reds bat in the second with 1 out. Foster has bounced to the shortstop Metzger, and Driessen waiting on Konieczny's 2-0 delivery. That is strike 1 call, 2-1. Road trip will have an off day. The Reds will be off Thursday and then begin the 3-game series against San Diego on Friday night. Here's a high fly ball hit into left center field. Cliff Johnson waving off Cruz as he camps under it and makes the catch. 2 out. Will bring to the plate shortstop Dave Concepcion. Davey, like Ken Griffey, has gotten off to a good start with 5 for 14, a .375 batting average. No homers and 1 RBI. Konieczny pitches, and Concepcion takes the off-speed pitch low.
That's high and outside, ball 2. 2-0. One afternoon game in the American League saw Toronto beat Detroit 5-3. That's high, ball 3. 3-0. In the second at Kansas City, the Royals lead the Yankees 2-1. Bottom of the second in Arlington, Texas, Indians and the Rangers 0-0. California, Oakland, Minnesota, Seattle later on tonight. Strike is called. Three balls, one strike, 2 out, bases empty. Concepcion is on with a walk as Konieczny misses high, and that's the second walk given up by Doug Konieczny, and will bring to the plate center fielder Cesar Geronimo. Geronimo, like Joe Morgan, like Jack Billingham, like Ed Armbruster, formerly with the Houston Astros, and really blossomed as one of the outstanding outfielders since coming over with the Cincinnati Reds. Picked himself up a Gold Glove a couple of days ago. There's a pitch missing outside, ball 1. Geronimo 5 for 13. He's homered one time and has knocked in 2 runs. Concepcion off the bag at first. Geronimo making sure he picks up the correct sign from third base coach George Sugar, and now is ready. Pitch. Swung on, foul ball. Will be out of play down the left field line. Talk about the fact that they've taken the inner wall down here in the Astrodome. This has never really been noted as an outstanding home run park because being indoors, the ball does not really carry all that well, and now it's going to be a whole lot tougher. Joe Morgan was talking coming in from Cincinnati today when he played here early. Here's a swing and a miss. He can remember when the park then was as it is now. No inner fence. It's going to be interesting to see how some of the big home run hitters around the league fare in this particular ballpark this season, not only here but also in St. Louis, because they've done the same thing. Geronimo grounds one towards second. Gonzalez plays, bobbles, recovers, throws him out, and the Cincinnati second is history. No runs, no hits, 1 left. We're in the middle of inning number 2, and it's the Astros 4 and the Reds nothing.
From the driller in Alaska to the roustabout in Texas, from the driver in Atlanta to the welder in Wyoming.
Getting oil out of the ground is one thing. Turning it into something people can use is another. We got people together we thought could do it better, and we called the company Marathon.
From the engineer in Denver to the trucker in Ohio, from the salesman in Chicago to the foreman in Nebraska, we got together to do it better. We're Marathon.
Marathon Oil Company. We got together to do it better.
That day, always a big Cincinnati Reds special date for non-holders and little leaguers, is set for Sunday, May 1st at Riverfront Stadium. The Reds take on the Chicago Cubs in a 2:15 game. Every boy or girl 14 and under, accompanied by a separate paying adult, will get a free Louisville bat branded with the name of a Reds player. Get your bat in time to use all season long. See on hand Sunday, May 1st, when the Reds meet the Cubs on Bat Day at Riverfront Stadium. Houston, after a most productive first that saw them score 4 times, will open up the second inning with pitcher Doug Konieczny. Woodie Fryman hoping for better things as he works against his opposite number, and here's his first pitch. Konieczny swings and he misses. Strike 1. Fryman last year winning 13, losing 13 with the Montreal Expos in 216 innings of pitching. Swing and a miss for strike 2. Worked in 34 games, of which 32 were starts. He completed 4. And against the Astros last year, he was 1-1. Down and in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fryman tries to put him away with this pitch as Konieczny bouncing to Pete. Long throwing to Driessen. 1 out. That'll bring up Julio Gonzalez for the second time in as many innings. He opened the first for Houston with a strikeout swinging. Probably noted the absence of Cesar Cedeno in the Houston lineup. Cedeno underwent surgery on the ring finger of his right hand. Here's a line foul to the Astros dugout. Prior to the beginning of the season to repair some ligament damage, and he is expected to come off the disabled list probably this weekend. He, along with the youngster from Amelia, Ohio, pitcher Bo McLaughlin, presently on the disabled list, and McLaughlin's supposed to come off at the same time. No balls and a strike on Gonzalez. Fastball is high, 1-1. Bill Burton has been playing a lot of people. He did just that in the series against Atlanta. Seeing what some people can do early here in the season with Cedeno out, it affords him the opportunity of doing that, especially in his outfield, and he's taking advantage of it. 2 balls and 1 strike. The pitch to Julio Gonzalez swung on, grounded to second. Morgan takes the 3-hopper and throws him out. 2 down. That'll bring up Cabell, who got the Astros going in the first inning by being struck by a pitch. Then picked up his 4th steal and ultimately rode home on Watson single to right field for the first run of the game. Fryman has gotten Konieczny a ground out to third. Gonzalez a bouncing ball second. Line drive hit to left center field. Geronimo up with the ball as Cabell long legs it around first and holds right there with the 4th Houston hit. To order your copy of the Reds Highlights record album, send $4.98 plus $1 postage and handling to Reds Record, Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati. The great collector's souvenir. Cruz an infield hit and a run scored in the first inning. The left-handed batter has a check swing foul ball. Over at the photographer's booth at the near end of the Cincinnati dugout along the third baseline. Houston 4, Reds nothing. Cabell, the runner at first base, 2 out in the second. Pitch. Nope, the throw to first base, and Cabell is back. There goes Cabell. Johnny Bench throwing. They got him. Cabell 1 for 2 in the stolen base department tonight. That time, Bench guns him down with Concepcion taking the throw, and the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left on. We go to the third with the Reds trailing the Astros 4-0.
Man, I love to drive on the open road and listen to that old night wind blow. Chewing Red Fox, it sure does ease my mind. Riding this ribbon on through the dark. No place to stop, no place to park. Me and Red Fox chewing tobacco, making up lost time. The Red Fox folks know what they're doing when it comes to making tobacco for chewing. For relaxation, man, it's one of a kind. It's moist and soft and mild for sure. The flavor's fresh. The taste is pure. It settles you down and helps a man unwind. Why don't you try Red Fox? Look for it in the white pouch with the picture of Old Red taking it easy. Red Fox chewing tobacco. Now it's better than ever. So when that highway starts to call, run with the fox that beats them all, Red Fox. 'Cause mister, taking it easy never tasted so good. Red Fox.
With the Reds trailing by 4 runs, Woodie Fryman will get things off and running for us here in the top of the third inning, and here to call the play-by-play for you, Joe Nuxall.
All right, Varney, the Astros, as you mentioned, a 4-0 lead as the Reds bat in the third. Fryman, Rose, and Griffey. Reds looking for the first hit off Konieczny's walked Morgan in the first inning, and Concepcion in the second, both coming with 2 out. Konieczny winds, and his first pitch to Woodie Fryman, a called strike. Houston beating the Atlanta Braves 2 out of 3 in the season's opening series here at the Astrodome. Fryman a check swing foul, 0-2. Chicago and Philadelphia underway at Philadelphia. No score. They're in the third inning there. American League, the Kansas City Royals leading the Yankees 2-1 second. Fryman swings on the next pitch and pops it foul out of play behind the plate. And that's the 0-2 with Woodie Fryman. Joe Ferguson, the Houston catcher, hangs the sign. And the 0-2. Down low, that one bounces in front of the plate and away from Joe Ferguson. Now the ball, 2 strikes. One and 2 the count. Outfield around to the right. Konieczny, the 1-2. That's swung on in a foul tip into the mid of Joe Ferguson, so Konieczny has his first strikeout. That'll bring Pete Rose to the plate. Pete bounds to Bob Watson at first base, leading off the ball game. Pete in the first 4 ball games against the Padres, a 143 batting average. He takes low and inside from Konieczny ball. Ferguson again going to the mound to have a word with Doug Konieczny. Last year, the Reds with the Astros here at the Astrodome were 3-6. Beat the Astros 6 out of 9 times. Beat them 6 out of 9 at Riverfront. Fastball is high, and it's 2-0. There's ball 3. Three balls, no strikes to Rose. 1 away, the pitch. High, ball 4. And Rose becomes the 3rd walk issued by Doug Konieczny. Pete moves on to first base, and Ken Griffey steps in. Kenny broke his bat in grounding out the Metzger in the first inning. Ferguson again to the mound to talk with Konieczny. Joe's still out there now. Heads back to the plate. As we pointed out last year at Memphis, 6-10 with a 6.11 earned run average. Walked 53, struck out 105 innings. A pitch to Griffey on the outside corner called strike. Konieczny's first year in organized ball was 1971 in Covington, where he was 3-0. The next year was at Columbus, Georgia, an 8-9 record. The 0-1 swung on and bounced to Watson. He'll go to second. They get the force of Rose to throw back to first, not in time. But Watson goes to Metzger to force Rose at second base. 2 away, and Joe Morgan to the plate. Play going 3-6. Morgan walked in the first inning. Griffey at first base. Morgan's had 2 hits and 12 times up. That's coming in the first 4 games. He takes a strike from Konieczny at the knees on the inside corner. Outfield shaded to the right. And as he sets, checks Griffey, delivers. Morgan swings and pops it down the left field line. Foul territory. Enos Cabell over now and waiting and makes the play. That's it for the Reds. In the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors. 1 runner left on base. And it's the middle of the 3rd inning here in the Astrodome. Houston 4, Cincinnati nothing.
Lovers
Company, Detroit, Michigan.
The Astros in the bottom half of the third will send up Jose Cruz, Bob Watson, and Joe Ferguson. Cruz was at the plate in the second inning when Cabell was cut down on the steal attempt, benched to Concepcion. Cruz an infield single in the first inning and scored one of the 4 runs. Jose, a left-handed batter. Woodie Fryman winds and delivers, and a breaking pitch swung on and missed. Fryman back to the plate. Change swung on and bounced to Concepcion. Near the second base bag, running throw to Driessen, 1 away. One out, Bob Watson steps in. Watson with a single to right field to drive in the first Houston run. Watson last year, a .313 batting average for the Astros, drove in 102 runs, hit 16 homers. Fryman works, and swung on and bounced up the middle. Morgan has it. His throw to Driessen, and quickly 2 away. Two down, Joe Ferguson steps in. Ferguson grounded to Concepcion in the first. As David threw him out, Cruz scored. Astros leading 4-0, scoring 4 times in the first inning. 2 on a home run by Cliff Johnson. Fryman delivers outside the ball. Fryman in his second start of the year. Here's the 1-0 to Ferguson. On the outside corner, called strike. 1-1. Woodie back to the plate. That misses outside. 2 balls to strike. Now the 2-1 on the way. Change high. 3 balls to strike to Joe Ferguson. Cliff Johnson waiting on deck with 2 out. Fryman 3-1. Swung on and line foul along the left field line. Cubs have scored a couple of runs, and they lead the Phillies 2-0. 4th inning at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Kansas City Royals have picked up a run, and they lead the Yankees 3-1. 3rd inning at Kansas City. A swing and a bounce of the Rose at third. Deep long throw dug out by Driessen, and that's it for the Astros as they're out in order for the first time in the game. Nothing to cost, and after 3 innings here at the Astrodome, Houston 4, Cincinnati nothing.
It's good to be back in the station house. Look out, kid. Gotta get this hose put away.
Gee, mister, you a real fireman?
You guessed it, kid.
My daddy's sort of like a fireman, too.
Yeah, what do you mean, sort of like?
Well, he doesn't slide down any poles.
No poles.
And he doesn't wear a rubber hat like yours.
Well, what makes you think? What's the matter with my hat?
My daddy's really a mechanic.
A mechanic?
Yeah, he fixes lift trucks.
Fixes lift trucks? What's that got to do with being a fireman?
My daddy says it's his job to put out fires before they start.
Fires before they start, uh-huh.
Yeah, he's a Clark PM man.
PM?
That means he blows a siren and flashes red lights that go round and round.
Now, wait a
then
minute.
He climbs up a ladder and...
Son, PM couldn't stand for planned maintenance, could it?
Yeah, something like that.
You mean he makes regular calls on his customers and services their lift trucks and looks them over real careful for any repairs that they might
Well,
need?
that's your story, mister. But I like mine better.
Yeah, well, what do you
Call Clark Lift, the Clark dealer with plenty of hustle, at 228-6201.
Now the 3-inning totals look like this. The Reds, no runs, no hits, no errors. The Astros, 4 runs, 4 hits, no errors. For the Reds, it'll be Johnny Bench to lead it off in the 4th, and back with the action, Marty Brenham.
Okay, Joe. John 0 for 1. He popped out to the first baseman, Bob Watson, to retire the Reds in the first inning. Doug Konieczny, as yet, has not given up anything remotely resembling a base hit, and this, of course, is
surprisingly been the big problem for the Reds of late. 4 or 5 hits yesterday in the 12-5 loss to San Diego. Only 4 hits Saturday afternoon when they dealt us a 6-3 loss. Johnny is in, and here comes Konieczny's first pitch here in the 4th inning, and it's cut on and bounced foul of the Cincinnati dugout. Bench a swing and a foul ball to the screen, 0-2. The Houston Ball Club, blessed apparently with some fine, outstanding young pitching. Of course, Konieczny, as we mentioned, was not really being figured as part of this pitching staff at the outset of spring training. Comes high and tight to John. Names like Bo McLaughlin, Dan Larson, Joe Sambito, Joaquin Andujar, all youngsters and all possessing a great ability, a great amount of potential. Breaking pitches down and outside, 2-2. Bill Verdon doesn't harbor any thought that his club is good enough this year to win the Western Division title, but he'll tell you look out in the next couple of years. Swing and a foul on a pitch down and in. Well, bench hanging in as the count holds at 2 balls and 2 strikes. George Foster and Danny Driessen to follow, hopefully more. We spotted them 4 in the 1st inning, and now we're trying to get it together. The break-even pitch on the way to bench. John checking on a curve low and outside. Full count. Konieczny at times has been inconsistent with his control. He's walked 1 batter in each of the first 3 innings. Morgan in the 1st, Concepcion in the 2nd, Rose in the 3rd, and he's 3-2ing to bench now. Swung on, grounded left side, played by Cabell. Throw to first base in plenty of time, and there's 1 away. That'll bring up George Foster, who was thrown out by Metzger as a leadoff batter in the 2nd. Foster, after grounding out in inning number 2 now, 2 for 14 this season. Opened up the year in the cleanup spot, with Johnny Bench on the sideline with knee problems, but when John came back Saturday, Foster was moved to the number 5 position, and Bench was placed in the number 4 spot. Ball 1. Swung on, foul ball, will climb out of here. Foster, 1 ball and 1 strike. Reds are going to be home very, very little in the next couple of weeks. In fact, 2 ball games, to be precise. Monday and Wednesday of next week, we'll be taking on the Dodgers at Riverfront. Here's a smash to center field. Line drive. Cruz. Whoop. He had trouble playing it, but he did. A sinking line drive. Best hit ball we've had tonight, but a line out, and we'll pause now for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network.
This is WMNI-FM, Columbus, Ohio. I'm Steve Cantrell, inviting you to join me Monday through Friday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. with the Quadfather on the Quadfather Show, right?
Danny Driessen with 2 out looks at a strike on the inside corner from Doug Konieczny. Well, the young right-hander continues to roll along as he's working on a no-no here in the 4th inning. He bounces Driessen foul. Talking about our schedule, we'll be playing the Dodgers Monday night, next Monday night at Riverfront. After an off-day Tuesday, we'll have them in for a 12:30 businessmen special. Here's a strike 2 pitch. Down and in for a ball. No balls, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs, bases empty, and the Reds trailing by 4 runs. A pitch, Driessen swings, ground ball to first. Watson, 2, Konieczny covering. He taps the bag, and that's the inning. The Reds are out 1, 2, 3. No runs, no hits, nobody left on. After 3.5, it remains Houston 4 and Cincinnati nothing.
Cardinal Food Stores are proud to be a part of the world champion Cincinnati Reds. Cardinal and Royal Blue Food Stores are equally proud to be a part of your family's growth. Cardinal Food Stores are independently owned, which helps pass the savings on to you. No district managers or board of directors to contend with. Just look around your neighborhood, and you'll discover that your friendly Cardinal Food Store manager is probably a member of your church. His children go to school with your children, and he is active in civic affairs and organizations. He really cares about you and your family because he is a part of your community. Your neighborhood Cardinal Food Store is a clean, modern store with friendly, old-fashioned, everyday, courteous service. You can place your trust and your family's health in their grocery, dairy, produce, and meat departments. Cardinal Food Stores also feature name-brand merchandise such as Monarch, a trusted name in foods for years. Wherever you are, there's a Cardinal or Royal Blue food store near you because they really care.
The Reds will be at Riverfront a week from tonight to renew that hottest rivalry in baseball with the Dodgers. Monday at 8:35 and Wednesday, April 20th at 12:30, Businessmen Special gets underway. Later in the month, it'll be a weekend series with the Cubs, followed by 2 weeknight games with the Cardinals. Stop by the Reds ticket agency nearest you. In Athens at the Audio Buff. In Portsmouth at Marty's. In Greensburg, Indiana at Western Auto. And in Ashland, Kentucky at Zwick Music. Cliff Johnson, Woodie Fryman, bottom of the 4th inning, and here's a pitch. Johnson takes a strike. He had a high change out of here to left field in the 1st inning with a man aboard. His first home run of the year. That one in there for strike 2 call. Fryman has been outstanding since the rough first. He's given him 1 hit. That's a single by Cabell in the 2nd. But Enos was then thrown out stealing. Woodie retired the side in order in the 3rd and has Johnson in an 0-2 hole with Leon Roberts on deck. Has a sign from Brent. He sends in the pitch. This is slap foul toward the Cincinnati dugout. So we'll be in San Diego Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Come home to meet the Dodgers for a pair. And then go off for a big weekend in Chicago. Followed by 3 games in Atlanta against Dave Bristol's Braves. No balls, 2 strikes. Johnson waving the bat now, waiting, and the pitch. Fastball is high and outside. Remember back to last year, they opened the season with Cliff Johnson behind the plate, a gamble, an experiment that ultimately did not pay off. And they really have trouble finding a place for this guy to play. High fastball, 2-2. There are those who feel that Johnson would be the ideal designated hitter over in the American League, because he's never been known for his defensive ability, but he can hit the long ball. The change is swung on and missed. Well, Cliff Johnson won the battle of change-ups in the 1st inning. Woodie Fryman does him in with a change here in the 4th. 2nd strikeout for Fryman, and he'll now go to war against right fielder Leon Roberts. Roberts in the 1st inning had a base on balls. He only walked that Woodie has allowed up to this point. This one swung on and fouled, a high change-up. Nothing has happened since the 1st inning by way of scoring, and it was a big first for Houston with 4 runs. Change up upstairs, 1-1. Cubs holding a 2-0 lead over Philadelphia behind right-hander Bill Bonham, 4th inning. Outside, ball 2 with a strike, 2-1. Roberts swings at the pitch in on him. Fouls it off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Johnson retired on a strikeout swinging. Roger Metzger will follow. Fryman kicks and he fires. And strike 3 is called. The pitch getting the outside corner. Johnny Bench thought that was the 3rd out of the inning as he rolled the ball back to the mound. Fryman picks it up. They send it around the infield, and with 2 out, that'll bring up the shortstop, Roger Metzger. Metzger hit into a force play. In 1st inning proceedings for the Astros. Woodie Fryman in a good groove right now. He delivers to the plate, and Metzger takes a strike. Cut out and missed. He came in with a chest-high fastball and simply blew Metzger away with it. 0-2 on Roger Metzger. Blowing inside for a ball. Mentioned Pat Zachary will be on tomorrow night. He was supposed to have gone Friday night of last week against San Diego, but after coming down with a mild sickness in spring training, here's a shot to left center, but Foster, playing him perfectly, makes the catch. And the side retired in order for the second consecutive inning. 3 up, 3 down, and we move to the 5th inning of a rapidly played ball game in Houston. The Astros 4, the Reds 0. Woodie Fryman, we were talking about Pat Zachary pitching tomorrow night against hard-throwing James Rodney Richard. Was scheduled to go Friday night, had to be scratched. Jack Billingham moved into his spot in the rotation, pitched, well, up to this point, certainly far better than anybody has yet pitched in the starting role for the Reds through the first 4 games of the season. So Pat Zachary will go tomorrow night against Richard, and in the Wednesday wrap-up, Joaquin Andahar against Jack Billingham. Well, now they're waiting out there on the field. Ford second. It looks like they've got the old needle and thread out and stitching it up.
A little, what do you call that? But really, Mariano's really doing batting practice at all the base areas, particularly second base, is very soft. The dirt there is very, very loose. And they were out even with a tamp pounding on that, but the gentleman still operating the needle and thread down just off to the left of first base. I don't know whether someone is running toward or what, but he's still going at it down there. I don't know what could have happened. I thought they glued that. I didn't know that they sewed it. I thought they had a special kind of glue that they put under it and would tack it back down, but apparently not. Maybe it's different here in the Astrodome, but I'll tell you one thing. Looks like he might be a dressmaker on top of it.
You're not kidding.
He's going at it.
But hey, I was trying to remember if, and I can't, whether or not they have replaced this AstroTurf any time in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't believe they have.
Not to my knowledge, Marty. I'm not sure if they've ever replaced it. I think parts of it they have, but the whole field, I'm not really sure if they have or not since they originally put it in. And of course, we talk about the fences being out of here, and we can recall when there was grass in here instead of AstroTurf, of course, and until they found out that they were going to have to darken the roof of the Astrodome. In other words, paint the panels because it was so difficult for outfielders to pick up fly balls, particularly in the daytime. And they originally painted an angle triangle over the home plate behind home plate, and it helped. Then eventually they had to paint each and every panel up there to block the light out, the sunlight, and consequently the grass all went down the drain. And really, we came in here late that year, and you might as well say we were playing on dirt the whole field. They used a little green dye to help things along, but 99% of it was dirt.
That had to be interesting.
It was.
Here's Dave Concepcion to begin the 5th inning as the surgery on the AstroTurf has been completed, and somewhat of a controversy on whether or not Davey offered it the pitch. The plate umpire, John McShury, looks to Billy Williams at first. He says no, and Joe Ferguson is really upset.
Marty, I think what they're not necessarily arguing about Davey swinging the bat. They kind of felt that the foul fit the ball.
Well, Ferguson was momentarily bent out of shape. Now he's back behind the plate, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes. Konieczny delivers. David takes down an in-ball 2. Reds have not had a hit yet. The only ball that has really been well hit was the Foster line drive to Cruz in center in the last inning. 2-0 pitch. Swung on and foul back. Houston with 4 runs on 4 hits. The Reds with 3 great big zeros up there. Neither club has committed an error. 2 balls and a strike. Konieczny into his windup, and his pitch to the plate is cut on and fouled out of play. Count even at 2-2. Cesar Geronimo will be up next, then Woodie Fryman. Reds have had 3 base runners, all through walks, while Konieczny has struck out 1. That was Fryman. Pitch is low, ball 3, and the count is full. David swings on the 3-2, bounces to third. Easy play for Cabell. He's got him at first base. 1 out for Cesar Geronimo. Follow the Cincinnati Reds at home and on the road on your official Reds Radio Network station. In Athens, Ohio on WXTQ. In Lexington, Kentucky on WBLG. And in Lancaster, Ohio on WHOK. 1 out, top of the 5th inning. Geronimo 0 for 1. A ground ball to second baseman Gonzalez in the second. Here's a bunt, foul off to the left of the plate. Well, the season in full swing now for all clubs in Major League Baseball. Over in the Eastern Division, that hot St. Louis Cardinal club that has been scoring runs by the bushel loads rests atop the East standings with a perfect 3-0 record. Geronimo bouncing ball, base hit into left field. Oh, the man they call Tony Blake because of his magic weaving of that wand and spraying hits all over the yard, goes the other way, and that's the first hit of the game for Cincinnati, a wrong field single to left by Geronimo. Now Woodie Fryman, who struck out in the 3rd inning. Cardinals 3-0, also undefeated. Montreal. Fryman wants to punt and fouls it to the screen. Expos picking up 2 close decisions over the Philadelphia Phillies. New York, couple of wins and 3 tries at the expense of the Chicago Cubs, while in this division it's Houston and the Dodgers with 2-1 records. Cincinnati and San Diego at 2-2. Then come the Braves and the Giants at a win and 2 losses each. Fryman again fouls it back. Strike 2. So Woodie not having a great deal of success in trying to get Geronimo on to second base. Twice has bunted and twice has fouled it back. Cabell now backing a step or 2 at third, but still about even with a bag. Konieczny into his stretch. And the pitch. Fryman fouls it back, and that's a strikeout. 3 straight foul back. Fryman becomes Konieczny's second punch out, and the batter will be Pete Rose. Rose has bounced out. He's also had 1 of the 3 walks that the Houston right-hander has allowed tonight. See what Pete can do now that Geronimo has finally come through with the first hit of the game for the Reds. Rose looks at the pitch just off the plate. Ball 1, and the fans behind home plate thought that was in there. Two balls, no strikes. Two men out. Runner at first, Cesar Geronimo. We're in the 5th inning in Houston and trailing 4-0. Rose with a fly ball hit well to left field. Johnson going back on the warning track, and he makes the catch as he bangs into the wall. Rose hit that long way the other way, but not far enough. Johnson got back there, made the catch. 1 half step later, he was banging against the fence. No runs in the inning, 1 hit, 1 left. We're halfway through this Monday night game in Houston, Texas, and we trail the Astros 4-0.
My Grange insurance agent seems to think of everything. Even though I'm a renter rather than a homeowner, I need to protect ever so many things. He suggested that I make an inventory of the contents of my apartment, and I was amazed how much of this world's goods I really own. Jewelry, silverware, skis and tennis gear, stereo, TV, my furniture, including some family antique heirlooms I could never afford to replace. I'm away all day, so it's really assuring to know Grange has me covered around the clock. I hope nothing ever happens, but it's nice to know that Grange has to do the worrying now that I'm one of their policyholders. Grange Unhomeowners Insurance is one of the smartest things I've bought lately.
Why not call your Grange agent? Look in the yellow pages under insurance. Grange offers mighty attractive rates on protection for renters and condominium owners.
We're in the home half of the fifth inning, and it's going to be pitcher against pitcher. Doug Konieczny, who wrapped out DeRose in the second, will be the leadoff batter for the Astros. Cliff Johnson getting a standing ovation for a catch that was really not all that difficult to make. Maybe the overreaction on the part of the crowd, because this guy has been known as, more often than not, an adventure in the outfield. Well, with everybody having calmed down now, Konieczny stands in to get the fifth inning started for the home club. Fryman cranking and dealing. Swung on and hit hard and high rose over left field. Base hit. That ball hit so hard, Pete hardly had enough time to react before it was by. So Fryman, who had retired 6 in a row, has his string broken as Konieczny jumps on his first pitch and base hits him to left field. Back to the top of the order we go. Very enthusiastic crowd here tonight. Gonzalez has struck out. He has also been enticed to ground out to second base. And now the dark jacket with a rainbow effect put on by the pitcher Konieczny at first base. And Fryman deals with Gonzalez. He wants to bunt but fouls it off. Houston up by 4 runs and trying to move Konieczny into scoring position. Throws in at third, starts to creep in as Gonzalez squares the bunt, drops it out in front of the plate. Fryman picks it up, no play at second, throws to Morgan. Sacrifice successful, 1-4. Put Doug Konieczny at second base and out in the inning. Here's Enos Cabell. He's been on twice. He was hit by a pitch, scored run number 1 of the game, and then in the second he singled to left center field and was thrown out stealing. This young man was a first baseman and an outfielder by trade as he came up through the Oriole organization. He grounds foul. Houston picked him up in a trade, decided to put him at third base, and I'll tell you, he has rapidly developed into a sure-handed fielder at that spot. And can swing the bat. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on. Pitch. That's foul. Strike 2. Fryman trying to hold the score right where it is in hopes that the Reds' offense can come to life. Down and in as the ball skids away from Johnny Bench, but not far enough to allow Konieczny to advance. Fryman 1-2 on Cabell. Woodie has his side, a backward glance at second, and the delivery. Grounded to the mound. Now they've got the runner hung up, but he throws to first to get the out. Konieczny got caught betwixt and between. Woodie looked that way, but then as soon as he took his eye off of Konieczny and concentrated on getting the throw off to Driessen, Konieczny broke toward third base and is in as Jose Cruz steps in with 2 outs. Cruz 1 for 2, an infield hit in the first. Ball 1. He shortened up on the bat as if to bunt the ball. Johnny Bench taking a quick look down at third base. Cruz swings off the end of the bat, a foul ball at home plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. In the 5th at Kansas City, the Royals lead the Yankees 3-2. Cleveland, Texas, scoreless in the top of the 4th. We mentioned earlier today, Toronto chalked up a 5-3 victory over Detroit. Just high for a ball, 2-1. Cruz, strike 2 call. That one clipped the outside corner. He started to go on it, but held up on his swing, and it cost him a strike. 2-2. Woodie pitching bear down baseball to try and keep Konieczny at third, and here's a high pop. Foul ground. Rose racing over and will not have a play as it falls back into the seats. Keep the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Jose Cruz. Fryman works, and Cruz swings and pops it up. That ought to be playable. Concepcion, foul territory, and calling and makes a catch. Davey with a grab down in the Cincinnati bullpen, and the number is in the 5th for Houston. Show no runs on a hit with 1 left. We move to the 6th inning. The Astros over the Reds, 4-0.
There's only one original in any business. In aluminum replacement windows, it's New Sash, the one that others are compared to. With this year's record-setting temperatures, thousands of homeowners are proud that they chose New Sash. Women love New Sash for the tilt-in windows that make cleaning faster, safer, and easier. Men like the insulated glass feature because they're usually the ones that put up and take down the storm windows. And with New Sash, storm windows become obsolete. The main reason for buying New Sash replacement windows is that old windows cost you a lot more in fuel costs each year. With New Sash replacement windows, you'll save up to 30% in heating and cooling costs. New Sash windows are custom made for a tight, perfect fit. Today is a great day to call New Sash, 267-8396. New Sash is the only replacement window to carry the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. For a sound investment for fuel savings, convenience, and comfort, invest in New Sash. BJ Industries is your exclusive New Sash distributor. Call 267-8396.
With Joe Nuxall, Marty Brenneman back in the Astrodome in Houston as we move on to the top of the 6th inning. I was thinking about the new Astros official mascot, Chester Charge. It's been a long night, man, I'll tell you. Chester Charge has been out. We're in the top of the 6th, and nothing much to talk about in terms of offense for the Reds tonight. We've had only 1 base hit in the first 5 turns against Doug Konieczny. That a single by Geronimo in the 5th inning. We'll be sending up Ken Griffey, Joe Morgan, and Johnny Bench, our 2, 3, 4 batters here in the 6th. Griffey 0 for 2, bounced to short in the first, and hit into a force play in the 3rd inning. A Cub-Philadelphia game now in the 6th inning. Chicago continues to shut them out behind Bill Bonham 2-0. Konieczny working to Griffey, and the pitch is cut on and fouled. A high pop out of play. Kenny bluffing a bunt as he takes a fastball high and inside, 1-1. Seen times over the years when entire clubs go into batting slumps, and quite frankly, that's a situation that the Reds appear to be confronted with right now. Here's a drive, hit back into deep right center field. Griffey might have his second of the year, and he does. A long home run, well to the left of the 390 marker in deep left center field, and that baby carried all the way into the orange seats in right center. So Ken Griffey
gets us on the board, kicking off the 6th inning with his second home run of the year. The Reds are down by 3, and Joe Morgan will step in. Ken Griffey getting absolutely every last bit of that one. And maybe that will get something going here for the Reds as Konieczny sends a breaking ball on in, but Morgan had stepped out prior to the pitch. Joe takes it high and inside a ball. And Kenny with his second homer of the year and his 4th RBI. That one a high pop-up as Konieczny jammed Joe. Maybe a play for Bob Watson as he reaches over the railing down by the Houston dugout to Spirit. 1 out. Johnny Bench is 0 for 2. He grounded out the 3rd and the 4th inning. In the 1st, he popped out to Watson. Houston with 4 runs on 5 hits. The Reds now with a run on 2 hits. Bench a line drive, base hit to left field. There's John's first hit of the season as he hangs on a frozen rope on a line single to left. So maybe the Reds are beginning to zero in now on Doug Konieczny. 2 well-hit balls in the 6th inning. Foster will step in. George is bounced short to first, is lined out to center field. Well, we've got activity in the Houston bullpen for the first time tonight. Foster a ground ball, base hit to left field. Johnny Bench goes to second and holds, and the Reds have 2 on. 3rd hit in the inning as Bench and Foster hook up on back-to-back base hits. And the twosome throwing in the Houston bullpen, right-hander Joe Niekro and left-hander Joe Sambito. And now Mel Wright, the Astros pitching coach, quickly coming to the mound to talk with Doug Konieczny.
I think what Mel Wright's trying to do is just kind of break things up a little bit. Maybe after the home run, Konieczny starting to aim the ball a bit, also trying to make the perfect pitch. And Mel not out there too long at all. He's back in the dugout.
Danny Driessen, a fly ball to left and a ground out first baseman to the pitcher covering. We've seen Bench get his first hit here in the 6th, and hopefully Driessen will do the same. We've got Pedro Bourbon now loosening up. Konieczny checks the runners, delivers. Driessen looks at the high and outside fastball. So Bourbon throwing for Cincinnati. Sambito a left-hander. Niekro a right-hander doing the same thing for Houston. 4-1 Astros. 6th inning with 2 men aboard and 1 out. High and outside, ball 2. The Reds trying to get a foot in the door. Got a long leadoff home run to right center by Griffey. After Morgan popped out, back-to-back hits by Bench and Foster, and here's a foul out of play off the bat of Driessen. 2 balls and 1 strike. Note that Mike Lum has picked up a bat down in the Cincinnati dugout as we get down toward the number 9 spot in the order. Driessen a ground ball, base hit to right field. Here comes Johnny Bench rounding third. He's cranking toward the plate as the throw goes to second. It's 4-2 as Driessen singles in a run. We'll pause for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network.
If you'd like a complete 1977 Cincinnati Reds schedule, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to WMNI-FM, Southern Hotel, Columbus, Ohio, 43215. This is WMNI-FM, Columbus, Ohio.
Well, Mel Wright making a rather Bill Burden, the Houston manager, now coming to the mound, the second visit in this inning. First Mel Wright, and now the Houston skipper is out, and that's going to be it for Doug Konieczny. Griffey's home run began the inning, and after Morgan popped out, we've had singles by Bench, Foster, and Driessen. We've scored twice in the inning, and they're going to bring on the right-hander Joe Niekro. And with a break in the action here in the 6th inning, we'll step out for this message.
Now that warmer weather is here, folks like to get outside and start enjoying life all over again. Well, there's no better place to do it than the wonderful world of Kings Island. Kings Island, a place just for fun, 20 miles north of Cincinnati, with over 1,600 happy acres. If you belong to a school, company, or community group, you can take advantage of Kings Island's special group rates. It's a great way for your group to enjoy over 100 rides, shows, and attractions at Kings Island. Now, you must have 25 or more people, and you must make reservations in advance to get the special group rate. So get your group together and make a date. There's even a comfortable Kings Island Inn near the park, so you can stay overnight. Kings Island is open weekdays, April 16th through May 28th, and after that, every day until Labor Day. Just call 513-241-5600 for group sales information. Who knows, as long as you're close by, you could even catch the Reds game, too. Don't forget, Kings Island for groups, just for fun.
32-year-old right-hander Joe Niekro now in relief of right-hander Doug Konieczny in the 6th inning as the Cincinnati offense has started to make some noise. We've had 4 hits in the inning, has produced a couple of runs, and Niekro will be making his first appearance of the season and will be working first to Dave Concepcion with Foster at third base and Danny Driessen on at first. Sam Bito continues to stay warm in the Houston bullpen as Niekro now has finished his warm-ups and David will step to the plate. Niekro, like his older brother Phil, a knuckleballer, won 4, lost 8 last year in 36 appearances, 13 as a starter with a 3.36 ERA. Joe, like brother Phil, a native of Martins Ferry, Ohio, 6'1", 190 pounds. On now to try and knock off the Reds here in the 6th inning and keep them from any further run production. The pitch to Concepcion, swung on, ground ball, backhanded by Cabell. They've got Foster hung up. He runs him toward the plate, flips to Ferguson, who runs him back toward third, and the tag, he's out. Metzger covered the bag. It goes 5-2 to 6. On the outplay at third base of Foster, with Driessen moving up to second base and David on at first.
Funny, I think some people might think that's a bad play on George's part, but it really isn't. The other way, if Cabell comes up throwing, he's got a pretty good shot at a double play because the ball was hit very sharply, but George in breaking eliminated the double play, and you never know what can happen during a rundown. So really good bit of base running by Foster.
Geronimo, who had the first Cincinnati hit, is in with 2 out. He swings at the pitch and misses. Konieczny going 5 1/3, turns over the duties to Niekro, who gets David to bounce to third, and they nail Foster in a rundown between third and home. The pitch, swing out of it, strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 runs across with 2 men on and 2 men out. Just tick foul, and Geronimo will stay alive. Woodie Fryman is on deck, but in the event that Geronimo should get on and keep the inning going, you can look for, I'm sure, a Cincinnati pinch hitter as Bourbon continues to throw. Driessen at second, Concepcion at first. Again, the strike 2 pitch. That's foul back. Joe Ferguson sending out the sign, and now Niekro works. Knuckleball bounces away from Ferguson, but nobody moving. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We were being shut out on 1 hit. Geronimo, 5th inning single coming into this frame before Griffey homered. 1 out later, bench Foster and Driessen with singles to score another run. Strike 3 swinging. He got him on the knuckler. And the side retired. So Joe Niekro does the job in relief. But for the Reds, 2 runs on 4 hits with 2 left. And after 5.5, it's Houston 4 and Cincinnati 2.
Stroh's presents a musical beer break. From one beer lover to another, the Stroh Brewery Company, Detroit, Michigan.
Cincinnati Reds are on the road, but we remind you that the ball club's official 580 gift shop is open Monday through Saturday from 7:30 till 5:30, as well as up until game time for all Reds home dates. And we'd also like to tell you that all the unique gift items and souvenirs you hear us talk about during the course of the season may be purchased by mail as well as at the gift shop. Call or write the Reds office at Riverfront for a handy 580 mail order form. Don't miss out on some of the great World Champ souvenirs like the Highlights record album, the team picture serving tray, autographed glasses, and lots more. Bottom of the sixth, Watson swinging on the first pitch, drills one to the gap, deep left center, Geronimo with a running jack. Geronimo flagging down Watson's long belt to the gap in left center. That's the first out. Here's Joe Ferguson, who's ground out to shortstop in the first inning, got a run home, and then in the third bounced out to Pete Rose. Woodie has pitched outstanding baseball since the first, when Houston got to him for 3 hits and 4 runs. He misses inside of the right-handed batting Astros catcher. Since the first, they've had only 2 hits, a single in the second by Cabell, and the 5th inning single by pitcher Doug Konieczny. Fouled out of play. Pitching line on Konieczny, 5 1/3 he went. The Reds scored twice on him, both earned on 5 hits. He walked 3, struck out 2. Right now, the pitcher of record, win-wise, at the Astro lead holds up. Breaking ball is lined foul, well back into the seats along the left side. Fryman into the pitch. Ferguson on the change. Drops this one in behind the Houston dugout. Astros 4, Reds 2, home 6th inning. Pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Woodie picks up his 4th. Now it'll be Cliff Johnson, whose home run with a man aboard in the first inning right now stands as a margin of difference in this one. That sent the Astros out 4-0. The Reds scored 2 in the 6th inning and trail 4-2. Clifford a strikeout victim in the 4th, so he's 1 for 2. Ball to him. Blowing inside, ball 2. Outfielder Art Gardner is now beginning to loosen up down in the Houston bullpen, so we might see a defensive change in left field in the top of the 7th inning, with Gardner possibly going in for Johnson. Smash foul between the bag and the coaching box at third. 2-1. Fryman trying to retire the side in order for what would be the 3rd time in 6 innings. Did it in the 3rd, did it in the 4th, and is working with 2 out in the 6th. 2-1 on the way. Change is high. Ball 3. Woodie kicks and deals, and he has lost Johnson to a walk as he misses wide of the plate with a fastball. second walk given up. Batter will be right fielder Leon Roberts, who walked in the first inning and struck out in the fourth. Philadelphia having trouble scoring runs also. They're in the bottom of the sixth inning, being shut out now 3-0 by the Cubs. Ball is high to Roberts, a former Detroit Tiger. Low inside, Fryman bounces this one up there, and Bench makes a nice play, keeping that ball from getting through. Ball 2. Woodie back on the pitching rubber, bends to get the sign, checks Cliff Johnson, sends in the 2-0 to Leon Roberts. Swing and a miss. And they keep that ball in on Roberts, and he has all sorts of trouble. Fryman has been pretty successful to that degree to this particular batter tonight. And strike 2 call on the outside corner, and it took John McSherry a second to make up his mind about whether it was a strike or it was not a strike. Roberts noted the brief hesitation and apparently lets the plate umpire know about it. 2-2. This one fouled. Roberts almost golfing at a low fastball. John McSherry inspecting the baseball and sending it on back to Fryman. Holding count, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Each club has had 5 hits. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning with 2 out. Grounded foul to the Reds dugout, bouncing off the protective fence, and Pete Rose running in behind the mound to pick it up. We'll be with the Astros again tomorrow night and again on Wednesday night. And we'll be welcoming in Houston for the first time this season at Riverfront Stadium on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of June. Inside on a full count. That particular month, the Reds are really going to be playing a bunch of games at home the month of June. Runner goes, grounded foul. In fact, we've got only 9 dates away from home. That entire month we'll be playing the Braves, Houston, Montreal, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. And the only road games will have 3 in New York, 3 in Montreal, and 3 in Philadelphia. Big month at home for Cincinnati. 3-2 pitch. Fly ball, center field. Geronimo with a long run to get it. Still coming. Got it. Running catch. That's the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 left. We head to the 7th inning, trailing Houston by a score of 4-2.
Getting oil out of the ground is one thing. Turning it into something people can use is another. It takes a lot of people with different skills and different talents to get that job done. We got people together we thought could do it better, and we called the company Marathon.
From the driller in Alaska to the roustabout in Texas, from the driver in Atlanta to the welder in Wyoming.
When we found oil, we could have left the rest of the jobs to somebody else. But we had this idea that we could do it better. So we got people together who thought the same way we did.
We got together to do it better. We're Marathon.
Marathon Oil Company. We got together to do it better.
Reds getting ready to bat now in the top of the 7th inning. Mike Lum will pinch hit for Woodie Fryman to kick off this frame against Joe Niekro. And we note some changes defensively for Houston. To tell you about them and call the 7th, here again is Joe.
All right, Marty. Art Gardner goes into center field, and Jose Cruz moves from center to right, and Leon Roberts out of the ball game. Mike Lum to hit for Woodie Fryman as the Reds step to the plate in the 7th inning. Mike has been to the plate 1 time this year without a base hit. Rose, Griffey, and more we hope here in the 7th. The Astros leading 4-2, each team with 5 base hits. Bone continues to throw on the Reds bullpen as Negro delivers to Lum high a ball. The attendance here this evening, 11,318. Outfield straight away to Lum. Negro winds and delivers. That's a strike call, 1-1. Doug Konieczny worked 5 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits, striking out 2, walking 3, and 2 runs, all of them earned. Lum checks on a knuckleball from Negro and fouls it away. Down a ball, 2 strikes. Houston getting their 4 runs in the first inning. After that, Woodie Fryman very effective. Negro delivers, Lum swings and pops it up. Shallow right field. Coming on is Cruz. He's waiting. He has it. 1 away. That'll bring Pete Rose to the plate. Pete 0 for 2. Has grounded to first, walked, and hit a fly ball to deep left field that Cliff Johnson caught right against the fence. In fact, after catching the ball, banging into the fence. He has had 2 hits and now 16 times to the plate this early season. He takes a strike from Negro. Fastball. Griffey on deck. The 0-1. Swung on and missed, and just like that, it's 0-2 to Rose. That's a knuckleball. A pitch. Swung on and missed. Good knuckleball down and away, and that's Negro's second strikeout. 2 out, and Ken Griffey to the plate. Kenny 1 for 3, and that's 1 hit, a home run leading off the 6th inning. Kenny is second of the year. 2 outs, the base is empty. The Reds trailing 4-2. The pitch, check swing, and it's a little high, a ball. Joe Morgan waiting on deck. Doug Konieczny worked 5 1/3. Negro came on in the 6th to retire Concepcion and Geronimo. The 1-0. Griffey swings in a very high fly ball into right center field. There is Art Garner. He makes the play, and the Reds out in order here in the 7th, nothing across. And it's the middle of inning number 7 here in the Astrodome. The Astros 4, the Reds 2.
Did you know there's a new microwave range that cooks 3 ways? From Roper, naturally. The Roper combination microwave range lets you bake or roast your regular electric way. Or use superfast microwave only in the big oven. Or combine regular heat with microwave at the same time to save 75% of the cooking time. With your Roper microwave range, you don't need special recipes, no complicated time and temperature conversions, and no special utensils. A typical 30-minute family meal is meatloaf, bread, scalloped potatoes, and pie, all cooked at one time and in one oven with Roper's combination microwave cooking. If it says Roper, it's quality. See all the Roper ranges in the exciting new Roper combination microwave range at Hoffman Appliance in Nelsonville, Ohio, Tools TV and Appliance in Asheville, Ohio, and Wiseman Appliance in Crooksville, Ohio.
On the mound for the Reds, Pedro Bourbon, and for Pedro, this is his 4th appearance in 5 games thus far. Pedro, a .225 earned run average. He's worked 4 innings, allowing 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 of them earned. Walked 1 and struck out 2. He will be facing Roger Metzger, Joe Niekro, and Julio Gonzalez here in the 7th inning as the Astros come to the plate. Roger Metzger 0 for 2. He has bounced into a force out and a fly ball to left field in his 2 times up. All right, Bourbon ready to go to work. Metzger hitting left-handed against the right-hander. He takes a strike as he bluffs the bunt. Rose shallow at third. Driessen pulled in a couple of steps at first. The outfield swung way around to the left. Pedro winds and delivers high and outside, 1-1. Woodie Fryman worked 6 innings, allowing 5 hits, striking out 4, walked 2, and hit a batter. All 4 runs earned runs. Swing and a line drive. Griffey moving toward right center makes the play for out number 1. That'll bring Joe Niekro to the plate. Niekro up for the first time. Gonzalez on deck. Geronimo delivers. Niekro swings and sends it to center field. Stepping back a few steps, Geronimo, he has it, quickly threw away for the Astros. Entering Gonzalez to the plate. Gonzalez 0 for 2 in a sacrifice bunt. He struck out in the first inning against Fryman, grounded to second in the second, and put down the sacrifice bunt in the 5th. Bourbon winds and delivers. Gonzalez takes it low and outside the ball. As Marty pointed out, this young man had a whale of a spring for the Astros, and thus the trading of Rob Andrews. He swings and bounces at the Rose at third. Keeps long throw to Driessen. And quickly, the Astros are out here in the 7th as they go down in order, nothing across. And we've completed 7 innings here in the Astrodome, and it's the Houston Astros 4, Cincinnati Reds 2.
How do you explain the fact that of the 10 largest breweries in America today, Stroh's is the only one that is still family-owned and family-run? We believe it goes back to a way of thinking that has been passed down from one generation of Stroh's to the next for more than 200 years. To the Stroh family, brewing is more than just a way of making money. It's something they were brought up to become personally involved with and to take personal pride in. Because beer is a living thing that has to be looked after by someone who really cares about it. That's the way the Stroh's run their brewery today. We think the real beer lover will appreciate it. The Stroh Brewery Company, Detroit, Michigan. Family brewers for more than 200 years.
7 innings total show the Reds with 2 runs on 5 hits, and the Astros 4 runs, and they've had 5 hits. Joe Morgan will lead it off in the 8th for the Reds, and back with the action, Marty Brenneman.
Time running out for the Reds after scoring twice in the 6th inning. Joe Niekro coming on in relief of Doug Konieczny and has done an out-of-sight job. He's retired 5 batters in a row. He now gets set to deal with Morgan, who tonight has been on through a walk, but since has popped out to third and popped out to first. Quite a exhibition of pitching since the first inning. Here's a pitch to Joe, and he takes a knuckler inside a ball. Talk about the pitching in that sense. We're talking about the Cincinnati pitching, of course. 2 balls and no strikes. Houston has had but 2 hits since the first off the combined talents of Woodie Fryman and Pedro Bourbon. Morgan ahead on the count, and this one a check swing foul back, and Joe's not happy with himself. Wanted to let that pitch ride all the way back to the catcher's mitt, but made contact, and Niekro picks up a strike the easy way. 2-1. Johnny Bench kneeling on deck. Morgan waiting on the 2-1 pitch from Joe Niekro, and here it is. Way inside and all the way back to the screen. Ball 3. One pitch. That's foul. So Niekro has run the count full on Morgan. Joe doing a little landscaping out on the front slope of the mound. Here comes his payoff pitch. That's ball 4 high, and Morgan kicks off our 8th with a walk. First base runner against Joe Niekro. Johnny Bench, hitless and 9 times up this season, banged a single into left field in the 6th inning and scored one of our 2 runs. That base hit came off Doug Konieczny, now facing Joe Niekro, as Morgan has walked and takes his lead at first. The Reds 2 runs down in the top of the 8th inning. Niekro will throw to first base as Morgan steps back. Pitch to Bench, swung on and popped up. Down the third base line, Ferguson giving way to Cabell. Enos Cabell in foul territory makes the catch. 1 away, and we'll pause for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network.
Just set your dial and forget it. Set it on 100 WMNI FM, Columbus, Ohio. Featuring the world champion Cincinnati Reds and the very best in music all day long.
One-out batter will be George Foster, who tonight has gone 1 for 3. He also had a hit in the 6th inning. Morgan has walked, Bench has popped up. Now Raleigh Eastwick will begin to throw in our bullpen as Niekro works to the plate. Foster grounds 1 to shortstop. Metzger goes to Gonzalez. Gonzalez turns it over to Watson. Double play. 6-4-3, and the crowd goes bananas. No runs, no hits, no errors, and none left. Bottom of the 8th inning coming up with a score: Houston 4 and Cincinnati 2.
To the ball game at Riverfront Stadium, where the 3 big hits are Kahn's Big Red Smokies, Kahn's Plump and Juicy Wieners, and Kahn's Delicious Brats. Eat them at the game and get them at your favorite store. All 3 are great anytime.
So it's root for the home team. The Big Red Machine is their name. And it's 1, 2, 3 great big hits at the Red Ball game.
You can depend on Kahn's.
The Cincinnati Reds have scheduled some top-flight entertainment for this year's college night, so here's a reminder to collegians to make plans now to be on hand. Pure Prairie League will perform in concert before the Reds-Cubs game on Friday, April 29th. College students and dates or spouses may purchase regular $3.50 reserve seats for only $2. How about getting the gang together for a fun evening at the ball game? Contact the Reds Group sales office for details about special bonuses extended to groups of 30 or more. Be on hand Friday, April 29th. That's the Reds and the Cubs on college night. Pedro Borbon in the bottom of the 8th inning, working to third baseman Enos Cabell. The strike is into him. This one foul back, and it's quickly 0-2. Cabell has been hit by a pitch and stole a base, scored in the first. Single, thrown out stealing in the second, bounced back to the box in the 5th. Houston leading 4-2 as they try to nail down victory number 1 in this, the opening of a 3-game series. Ground ball, second base. Morgan charges. He has it, and he throws him out. 1 out. Batter will be Jose Cruz. He started out the game in center field, but then shifted over to right back in the 7th inning when Art Gardner came in and Leon Roberts left the game. High fly ball, right center field. Geronimo and Griffey come together. The Chief will play it and has it. 2 out. The 2-out batter will be Bob Watson. Here's how to order Reds tickets by mail. Box seats are $4.50. Reserve seats are $3.50. Send check or money order payable to Cincinnati Reds, Box 1970, Cincinnati. And don't forget to include 50 cents with each order for handling. Watson an RBI single in the first inning. His only hit in 3 times up. Ball to him. You're thinking about the Cincinnati 9th inning. Think about Danny Driessen, Dave Concepcion, and Cesar Geronimo. Ball 2, 2-0. That's in there for a strike as Bourbon gets a fastball up at the letters. 2-1. Both relief pitchers have pitched effectively. Bourbon has retired 5 straight. Here's a slow bouncing ball down the line at third. Rose. Does he have enough on the throw? He does. To get Watson, and the inning is over. Bourbon his second perfect inning in relief. And now we go to the 9th inning, needing 2 to get even. The score, Houston 4, Cincinnati 2.
Well, we loaded up the dogs in the pickup truck, heading out hunting and hoping for luck. Raring to go where the country's good as new. We'd hunt for a spell and then settle down, take it easy and gather round, pass a Red Fox chewing tobacco and have a chew. Later on, when we's all done in, we build a fire, let the story spin, open up another pouch and had another chew. Red Fox is mild and like I say, a taste that fresh tastes good all day. Like a Tennessee hound, Red Fox won't let you down. Why don't you try Red Fox? Look for it in the white pouch with the picture of Old Red taking it easy. Red Fox chewing tobacco. Now it's better than ever. One day real soon, between me and you, I'm heading back to the fields with my Red Fox chew, because Mr. Taking It Easy never tasted so good. Red Fox.
Well, we're in the top of the 9th inning and trailing by 2 to Bill Verdon's homestanding Astros, a 4-2 count. Joe Niekro, who came out of that bullpen in the 6th inning to slam the door on the Cincinnati Reds and has done that consistently since that time, will face the likes of Driessen, Concepcion, Geronimo, and if we get that far, a pinch hitter for Pedro Bourbon. The Reds have totaled 5 hits in the game, but 4 came in the 6th inning when we scored 2 runs, while Houston, scoring 4 times on 3 hits in the first inning, has since been held to only 2 hits. Danny Driessen, a base hit in the 6th inning to knock in a run after going to the plate 17 times officially this season without a base hit, and he made that first one a big one with a run-scoring single to right field. So Niekro needs to retire 3 batters to give Houston their 3rd win in 4 tries this season and hand the Reds their 3rd consecutive defeat. The pitch to the plate, Driessen ground 1 into right field for a base hit. Now, Danny Driessen, 2 hits in his last couple of times at the plate, opens an important 9th inning with a base hit to right. Davey Concepcion, and we may see Ken Force go down to begin throwing now in the Houston bullpen. We will. He's money in the bank as far as relief pitching on this club is concerned, and Bill Verdon's going to get him ready right now. Dave Concepcion has walked, bounced to third, reached on a fielder's choice. Inside, ball 1. Eastwick throwing in the Reds' pen. Force doing it for Houston. That's low. Ball 2. 2-0. Sparky Anderson pacing down in the Cincinnati dugout. Bill Verdon matching him step for step on the Houston side. Driessen taking a short lead at first. Niekro needs a strike. David swings, line drive, right center field. Get down. It's going to be off the center fielder's chest. Here comes Driessen to second. He'll hold right there. Gardner tried for the shoestring. The ball short hop, bounding up, hitting him in the chest, and the Reds have had back-to-back hits in the ninth inning from Danny Driessen and Dave Concepcion. It's going to be Cesar Geronimo to hit. And moving on deck is left-handed batting John Champ Summers. So we've got the tie and runs on as the Reds have produced hits number 6 and 7 in the ninth inning against Joe Niekro, whose invincibility ended with the leadoff batter in the ninth, Driessen. Cabell, Watson on the corners looking for Geronimo's bunt attempt. The pitch swung on and popped in the air to left center field. Calling for it is Cliff Johnson, and he will make the catch. Well, you have to wonder why not a bunt attempt in that situation, but Geronimo had the green light to swing away and lops a routine fly ball to left field. Champ Summers will now pinch hit. Champ making his second appearance. He was a pinch hitter in the Saturday game at Riverfront Stadium, bouncing out to end the game, and now he comes on to face Niekro with Driessen still at second, Concepcion still at first and one away. Man had an outstanding spring. He swings and fouls. Apparently bounced that ball off of his right foot. Summers walking off the paint around home plate, taking a couple of practice swings, and will step back in. Astros leading by 2 runs, a 4-2 count. The Reds have 2 men on with 1 man out, and Summers is batting for Bourbon. Batter is in. Here comes a pitch. That's up high, a knuckleball, 1-1. Figure that Bill Verdon's going to go with Niekro for 1 more batter. Anybody else reaches, you can look for Force to come in. Foul back, strike 2 with a ball, 1-2. Joe Niekro looking out towards center field. The outfield playing Summers just a bit around toward right. Champ in a hole, 1 ball, 2 strikes. The backward glance at second, the pitch, swing and a miss. He struck him out with a knuckleball. Strikeout number 3 for Joe Niekro, and now Pete Rose steps to the plate in a bid to try and keep us alive in the ninth inning. Pete is without a hit. He's bounced out, walked, fly to deep left, and in the 7th inning, Niekro struck him out swinging on 3 pitches. The pitch to Rose, taken for a strike. Driessen and Concepcion will run with leadoff base hits, but since Geronimo has flied out, Summers has struck out. That is just missing a bit high, 1-1. Eastwick and Force continue to stay ready in the event that one or both of their services might be needed. Rose waiting on the 1-1 delivery. He swings and line drives a base hit into center field. Here comes Driessen getting the green light to the plate as the throw comes toward third, and the Reds have cut the Houston lead to 1 run. On Rose's 2-out single to center field, it's now 4-3. Ken Griffey will be the batter. Kenny responsible for our first run as he led off the 6th inning with a long home run to the seats in right center. Concepcion goes to second base and holds there, so the Reds are still alive as Rose bangs a base hit to center, producing our 3rd run and picking up his 4th RBI of the year. Kenny is 1 for 4. Niekro trying to nail it down as he sends a pitch in, and Griffey takes strike 1. Tying run, Concepcion at second. Go-ahead run, Rose on at first. Niekro kicks and fires. Griffey swings, fly ball, center field. There's Gardner, and that's it. In the 9th inning, the Reds get a run on 3 hits. Strand a pair and fall 1 run short. The final score, Houston 4, Cincinnati 3. And we'll be back in just a moment.